There, macro folks. This is Mr. Hooker, and this is video 3 of International Macroeconomics. This one will be really short. I don't think there's much left, but sorry, I left a couple of slides over. Um, so devaluation, revaluation of fixed exchange rates. So fixed exchange rates really aren't permanent commitments. Devaluation is just a reduction in the value of a currency set under new fixed exchange rate regimes. Revaluation is an increase in the value of a currency set under a fixed exchange rate regime. You can't just fix it and leave it. You have to reevaluate it every so often and see, like, am I going to go up? Am I going to go down? And then you got to fix that. So you're either going to devaluate or revaluate it uh, every so often. I mean, not every month, but like, every 6 months or so, look at it. So devaluation makes domestic goods cheaper, which boosts exports, makes foreign goods more expensive, which reduces imports, and the balance of payments on current accounts increases. So similarly, revaluation decreases the balance of payments on current accounts. Um, so devaluations and revaluations can be used to change the balance of payments on the current account and to change aggregate demand. Um, so suppose Genovia cuts its interest rate. Residents of Genovia have reduced incentive to keep their funds at home, so they invest more abroad. And the supply of Genos shifts right. Foreigners have less incentive to put funds into Genovia, and the demand for Genos shifts left, and the Geno depreciates. So after the Genovia interest rate falls, Geno invests more abroad. Genovians invest more abroad, buying more US dollars and selling more Genos. And the foreigners invest less in Genovia, reducing their demand for Genos. So there's where we go with that. So we get a depreciation of the Geno. So under floating exchange rates, expansionary monetary policy causes the currency to depreciate, helps increase aggregate demand even more. And contractionary monetary policy causes the currency to appreciate. So there's where we end up. International business cycles. All right. So a lot of what we got with the business cycle, especially nowadays with a globalized economy, means that ain't nobody living like their own little world. Like some of these countries that are more isolationist than others are, I mean, they can tank and it won't mean anything to somebody. But um, most of your larger countries, if they have an event, it's going to affect all of us. So the fact that one country's imports or another country's exports creates the link between the business cycles. And this link's the reason why business cycles in different countries sometimes seem to be synchronized. So the Great Depression of the 30s, the Great Recession of '08, and the 2020 slump affected countries all over the world. And though floating exchange rates may weaken that link, if a recession abroad reduces the demand for the country's exports, the currency depreciates, goods and services become cheaper to foreigners, and exports don't fall as much as they would under a fixed rate. At the same time, foreign goods become more expensive and imports fall, but both effects limit the decline in aggregate demand compared to what it would have been under a fixed rate. By the early 2000s, Britain stayed out of the recession that affected the rest of Europe, and Canada suffered a less severe recession than the US. In the Great Recession, though, a financial crisis began in the US and spread to virtually every country, mainly because everybody was tied to the US financial markets. If we weren't like the financial center for a lot of countries, that wouldn't have messed with everybody else so bad. But New York, everybody does finance in New York, so everybody's, all the big companies have some tie to New York's financial center, and that just messed them up. So this next big bubble they're talking about, the bubble of everything that they expect to go off in the next couple of years or so, um, if it goes off and it's, US centric, and it's pretty much expected to be US centric, but if it goes off and affects the financial and housing markets like it's expected to, then it will also affect other countries because they are also tied to the US financial and housing markets. So this is not something that um it's one of those things where, like, hey, they're not really here, but so many other countries are intertwined into our housing and financial markets that they can't help but be affected. Not a lot we can do about that. So what happens to the value of the dollar and the amount of US exports when the money supply increases? The dollar depreciates and exports increase. And that is it. Y'all have a great time. Hope you enjoyed the course. Take care and good luck on your final.